I think without a doubt, our rowdiest crowd so far, don't you think, boys?
The best we've ever had. Again, unbelievable.
The beers have helped. It is the season of joy and goodwill, isn't it? Hello, I'm Mark Murphy. Welcome to this week's edition of Life's a Pitch TV on YouTube and podcast, brought to you in association with our main sponsor, DPS Tech. A massive thank you also to our other sponsors for making the show happen. All About Hearing, marketing company Ginger Pickle, Forward Floors, Come Hither Design, the Hudson Group, Sound 4 Pro Audio, Venue 16, Fred Olsen Logistics, John Keeble Cars Bramford, and now the Dove in Ipswich. Let me introduce you to the team. Former Ipswich and England skipper, it's Terry Butcher. Former Ipswich and England star, Russell Osman. And a star in his own lunchtime, Phil Ham from twtd.co.uk. On technicals, we've got Richard, we've got Mark, we've got John, and welcome capacity crowd. Have a fantastic night with us. Tonight, we have a special guest tonight from a goalkeeper last week. Wasn't Craig funny last week? Wasn't he great? Really funny.
Well, he could talk a lot as well, I know that. Good, Nick. Yeah, I needed a shave after he spoke for one of his answers.
From a keeper to a striker, former Ipswich Town striker, it's James Scowcroft!
He's one of our own. James Scowcroft is one of our own.
Welcome, buddy. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us on the world's biggest sofa. Really good to see you. How are you keeping, all right?
I'm very well, thank you.
What are you up to these days?
Very busy. Still lucky enough to work in football. Work for one of my old clubs, Crystal Palace, which I played for at the end of my career.
We'll be playing them next season, won't we?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, they're getting relegated, no? Of course we will. Of course we will.
So, no, it's the sporting director there is Dougie Freeman, who I used to play for. So he invited me on the team probably nearly 5 years ago now, and work as a European scout. So most weekends I'm here, there and everywhere, going all over Europe, watching games and building knowledge and reporting back to the club. So it's been brilliant. It's been really, really good. So that keeps me busy. Still based in the area, so which is nice. So life is okay. Life is good.
You were due with us a few weeks ago, but you had a better offer, which we all understand. It was a chance to go and watch some football down in Marseille.
It was, yeah. So I do apologise.
We can forgive you for that.
I looked at the weather and thought, I might have to go.
So is that scouting out players?
Yeah. So first team, there's it's a fantastic football club, Crystal Palace. I think we're now coming up to 11 years in the Premier League. Not a big club, so it's a fantastic achievement. So there's a department of us that's been built up over the years. So it's the Premier League, so it's it's well financed. It's extremely well run. And it's been a pleasure to sort of work with.
You know, when you go abroad and do scouting and things like this, do you get like a float or a kitty, or do you have to spend your money and then claim it back? No, I'm interested. I've got a story about it. Go, yes,
do you want to come, do you?
No. Well, have you got space? I don't mind.
There's always space. No, we're lucky. It's all looked after for us. It's all booked up. We have certain areas each, so I mainly do France, but I go into lots of other areas as well. And it's extremely well done. And you'll see, I go to games and there's, sometimes you'll be 30, 40, 50 other scouts there from all over Europe, UK especially as well. So it's big, it's covering the knowledge, and you have to learn a vast database of players.
I was just interested because when I was at Dundee United many years ago, I was sent to Cannes to watch a game and look at this English player that was playing for Cannes. So they gave me a float. The usual float. So I had some money. So I went down, booked the flights were all booked and everything else. Gets down to France, paid for my taxi with the float. Went to the hotel, checked in. I thought I'd have a pizza. Went out for a pizza, and I saw the bill, gave them the money, and the waiter said, "Excuse me, sir, but we don't use francs anymore. We now use euros." But the taxi driver took it. I don't know if he was drunk or not, but. So then I had to spend all my own money. I just wonder, you've not had any experiences like that now, I suppose?
Not like that, no. I've always spent euros.
We spent euros, all right.
Yeah. Taken care of a bit better perhaps these days than it was back in the day. We've got lots to talk to you about, but we've got lots to talk about as far as Ipswich Town is concerned as well. So let's take a look at the season so far with Butch, Terry and Phil, sponsored by the Dove in Ipswich.
That's a Murphyism.
Yeah, it was, yeah. That's a Murphyism.
So, did I say Butch, Terry and Phil?
Well, yes. That's
Butch,
4
Russell
times
and Phil.
you've said it now.
All right, thanks. Where's that hole I keep digging myself into? Oh, well, we'll edit that bit out, won't we, everybody? No one will notice.
Speak to Butch, Terry or Phil.
Oh, stop it. Let's start with Phil Ham. Gone all red now. So we'll start with last Saturday, and you three can talk about it, and I'll just sit
keep it
quietly.
short, Phil.
Yeah, well, it's two draws, isn't it, in the last few days? And
That's very observant, Phil.
but one felt like a victory, and one felt like a defeat, didn't it? I think that Birmingham City scoring 2 goals late on. Marcus Harness, the second goal, I thought, terrific volley. And actually, if the game had gone on another 5 or 10 minutes, you'd have bet on us to win that, really, I think. And then Tuesday at Rotherham, where we never seem to win. I think we've only ever won once at the New York Stadium. I think before Tuesday we'd lost 1-0 4 times in a row. And we looked like we'd done enough, hadn't we? And then, of course, we gave a late goal away, which is not typical of us this season, but I think we did it far too often last season. Again, away point. It's interesting, sort of people saying, oh, we're going through a bit of a dodgy patch. Well, a bit like last season, we seem to be going through a dodgy patch without actually losing matches, which is obviously a positive, that when you're going through a dodgy patch, you're not actually losing any games.
A result away from home is always going to be a good result, Phil. You know, and at the end of the day, we'll look back at the end of the season and say that point at Birmingham was a good point, the point at Rotherham was a good point, and it's just part of the progress that we're going through at the moment.
Did you ever feel, Birmingham, I got the score through as 1-0 and then it went to 2-0. I never felt concerned that we were going to lose the game, because they've trying to come back so many times this season from 2-0 down, or from 1-0 down.
Yeah, you do have confidence in that they will come back.
I had no confidence whatsoever. I was really... I had no worries. I had all the confidence in the world. And I've got catching off Mark now, I think. So I had all the confidence in the world that they would come back, because I knew that Birmingham were pressing. I knew that Birmingham would tire eventually. They couldn't keep up those energy levels. So in the end, you know, with the substitutes and with the quality that Town have, I knew they're going to score, like they've scored in every game.
Yeah, I was pleased for Marcus Harness, because, you know, 2 great finishes, really. You know, Johnny on the spot, wasn't he, for the first one that he stabbed home, and then I thought his second goal was a terrific finish. You know, and just shows you the value he has to the side, that you can bring him on and he creates a bit of a goal threat for us. Usually Freddie's come on as well, and also gives you that goal threat. So, you know, if we can get down there with a result beckoning, then we've got chance with our bench and the strength of our bench to go on there and put that extra bit of firepower in there and use it as we need it. And Rotherham I think it was just a bit unfortunate that they conceded the equaliser late on. I thought we'd done enough. I thought that was a game over, and I'm sure there's quite a few people would probably have left the stadium by the time the equaliser went in. What was it, a minute later?
Yeah, I was right in my intro. Town, you know, back to winning ways.
No teacher.
Lopus were, and
Yeah.
well, you
That
know.
always happens, doesn't it?
I know. It is.
Yeah.
Scully, did you watch the game?
I did watch the game, yeah. I think Terry and Butch have summed it up, really. I think away from
Terry
home.
and Butch. Is it that sofa? Is it that sofa? It's that particular sofa that's doing the trick. Oh,
So
my
many
God.
edits tonight.
Are you going to be Terry or are you going to be Butch tonight?
I don't mind either one. I don't mind. Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll be the
what
other
are you
one.
going to be?
Well, I'll be
Pete Brady.
Russell and
Butch
Terry.
Osman.
Russell and Terry have summed it up very well.
We need name badges. I didn't think we ever would, but we're getting older.
This dementia doesn't help, does it?
No. Shh, don't mention that word. Carry on. Yeah, carry on.
No, listen, away from home in the Championship, if you don't get beat, it's a good result. I think whoever you play, it's a very, very fine, very competitive league. If you win your home game, which they've done, and away from home, I think when you concede at the end, but probably overall, it's maybe a fair result.
Probably, I think so.
And
But you're I remember you came on the radio show when we were on the radio last year, and you were very confident that Town would do well in this division. And you said to me the other day, Town will finish in the top two, didn't
they
you?
will finish in the top 2. Yeah, they score goals. They score goals every week. They score goals, and it's goals that will ultimately in this league win. And the goals come from it's not reliant on one individual. There's several now that can score goals, and it's an attacking team. And I think the belief they've got will keep them through as long as injuries are kind to us. I think the Championship's a very chaotic league, and there's a lot of clubs like we've experienced before. You get stuck in the Championship, it can be a negative place to be, but at the moment it's a very, very positive place, and you know the crowd and the momentum, I do believe will go up. Yeah.
So if you're a betting man, you'd never bet on 0-0, would you, at all?
Never.
Never, not with Ipswich Town.
I think
No.
we scored 33 games in a row now, something like that.
It's not just one goal, it's 2, it's 3, it's 4. It's prolific goal scoring.
Very good.
And we always look like scoring. Even games where we've had less of the ball. The Sunderland game, the opening 20 minutes of that game, we hardly saw anything of the ball, and yet we'd looked the most dangerous team, hadn't we? And I think that is the thing about Town at the moment.
That's looking a bit too far back, Phil.
No, but you know what I mean. That was sort of illustrative of that kind of point.
Let's look ahead to the weekend. We've got Swansea at the weekend. I've got that right, have I? Is Swansea this weekend?
Yeah.
Not Leeds, is it?
Yeah.
Swansea City,
No.
not Swansea Town.
Oh, you all heard it. I know. All right. What do we think, boys?
Home game, I think 3 points. I can't see us losing games at home at the moment. We might be a little bit slow out the blocks now and again, or we might be a little bit slow breaking the opposition down. But I just see us playing well, playing attacking football again as we do, playing lovely football. And the support we get there at home is a massive, massive bonus for us. So I don't see there being any problem in thinking we'll pick 3 points up.
Well, they have got 15 points in their last 7 games, and they've won their last 3 away from home. And they've also beaten Norwich as well.
Hey!
But anybody can beat Norwich these days, so it doesn't make any difference.
Have you
Didn't deserve
noticed
as big
the
a cheer.
dead canary above my head is slightly deflated this week, okay? So as they slip further down...
We should actually put him further down the wall. So we actually we're losing behind that sofa. At least he won't make a mistake.
Yes, we may mention them a little bit later on in the show. What do you think against Swansea then, Scoey?
Home win. I think, let's say, I think every factor is going for Ipswich at the moment, especially at home. There's confidence, there's attacking football, there's crowd, there's belief. Everything is going our way, and I can't see any other way. I think it's a very difficult place to come now. I think it's very intimidating, and it's a very positive place to play football if you're an Ipswich player.
I think it's a bit like when you were playing, really, when under George, isn't it? I think that kind of momentum is with Town, and I think Swansea at the moment are a team that are in a sort of period of transition, aren't they, from Russell Martin's management to Michael Duff's, and I think Town will probably dominate the game, I think, really, more than perhaps they have against Rotherham and teams that have kind of tried to make it difficult for them in that sort of way. So, yeah, I can't see anything other than Town's first league win against Swansea since November 1982, when a certain Mr. Osman was among the scorers.
Oh, I think that deserves a little cheer.
Around 3-1.
One of my many.
Yeah. Was it 40-yard strike?
Probably left foot, something like that. What does concern me at the moment, Phil, just going back to how the team are playing at the moment, we've had more changes at centre-half position over the last couple of weeks than I've ever seen before. Edmondson came in, Burgess was left out, and Burgess stayed in. Then Axel Twanzebe came in and left Wolfie out. And that's just puzzled me a little bit. That's all.
Well, I think we'd be knocking on Mr. Robson's door if they left us out of the team. Would we not?
Yeah,
well,
I don't know why he left
only
Wolfie
once,
out. Maybe the physicality of the Rotherham opposition. But if you'd have been left out because you weren't physical enough, you'd have put your foot through Robson's door.
Would have smashed it down, yeah.
But is it not more that we've obviously brought in Axel Twanzebe, who has this pedigree of having played for Manchester United in the Champions League, and that you want to get a player with that pedigree into your team as soon as possible?
Yeah, but the guys, I mean, you build up relationships on the pitch. So the guys that have been there before, the Edmondsons, the Burgess, Wolfies and all this, as a goalkeeper and fullbacks, you're used to how these boys play. And then you've got to get used to Twanzebe coming in and see what he does and all this kind of thing as well. You can train with them, you can do all these kind of things, but it's nothing like a game. You see the attitude and belief and heart and bravery of players. Sometimes you see the opposite, but you've got to get to know these players very well. So, by just tinkering a little bit, we've lost the first goal in the last 4 games, I think. Is that right? So, these little stats are niggles for me.
Yeah.
For me and Russell, it would be, You know, they're unnecessary stats. We don't like them. We don't want them. And the sooner we can get rid of them, the better.
Yeah.
But you need to play on a regular basis.
If we were losing games consistently, then we would probably expect to be dropped.
Yeah.
Simple as that, because you conceded too many goals. You know, you're not doing your job. But when you're getting results and winning games, and you're thinking they're doing the job by winning the games, that you'd earn the right to stay in the side. But you know, obviously, there's something there going on.
Well, the manager sees, as you know, what goes on the training pitch that we don't see. So, you know, he's doing a half-decent job, isn't he? Really, let's say, to say the least. So we just have to trust in his decisions. And you know, we're still getting points even with those changes, aren't we?
But we have conceded 2 goals in our last 3 league games, which is not ideal, is it? It's not ideal.
Not ideal.
Axel Tuanzebe, you obviously watched him for Man United because you watched Man United. How good is he?
I think John Terry said, didn't he, when he was at Aston Villa, he's the best centre-half prospect that he'd seen. I think his biggest problem is injuries, just staying fit. You know, whenever he's got a run of games, he's been very, very impressive. So I think to have him at Ipswich is a big coup for the club. It's just keeping him fit. I think there's some positions, especially the spine of the team, that probably you don't change, do you? Don't change as
not
much.
Too much.
Yeah, and I think there's 2 ways to look at it. I think Ipswich have actually got a big squad, which will help them massively. So they're not relying on sort of maybe 13, 14 players. They have got a big squad that players can come in and out, which they need. But like you say, you know, the goalkeeper, the other players around those centre-backs, match rhythm, match routine, knowing what someone's going to do, knowing how they play, knowing they want to receive the ball, knowing
your backbone.
You can see that changes do disrupt.
You ever thought about playing centre back? Was it too advanced for you?
Know what?
Or too technical, or a difficult position for you?
I played 25 minutes there once, and it's my last ever professional appearance.
Oh.
That ended it,
It was a hell of a way to go out, I must say.
There you go.
That was for Leighton Orient, presumably, was it?
It was, yeah. It's at Colchester. Last ever, the 25 minutes. I think someone got sent off, and I went and played there.
And you thought, I'm not having any of this.
I'm not as brave as you guys.
Yeah, I'll give you that. You're brave. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
No.
We've got lots to talk about, and I want to bring in a bit more about James because he is our special guest today. You arrived at town at quite a young age, didn't you? How did it all come about?
It came about, I came into the club at 11, which was in 1989. I came, and there was a little bit of a change at the club. I don't know if you knew this, Phil, that they started a centre of excellence. I think they changed like the schoolboy. They started the centre of excellence, and the FA had a new, similar to what they did recently with the EPPP. It was a slight change, and I think the club, maybe in the late 80s, the youth team at the time the club as a whole started to drop. So there was a new kind of sort of push for it, and I went on trial at several clubs, but Ipswich was my local club. And so at 11, so the first Sunday team we had, which we started off at under 13, I was actually the captain of. And I just went through all the age groups, and it just got bigger and bigger. And 5-6 years later, we all started to come through, and the late 90s, early noughties, that what they did in the late 80s, sort of 1990, reaped its rewards. So that was the first sort of coming in and training up in the gym. Was just, you know, it was brilliant. It was absolutely, and we'd play on a Sunday on the practice pitch. So you'd change in the proper change rooms. You come out, and you was only 13 years old, but you come out and you could see the pitch. You could see where you were trying to get to, but you turned left and you went onto the practice pitch. But it was you could feel what you were trying to achieve.
And tell us about your debut. How did that feel?
My debut was very last minute. Ian Marshall got injured in the warm-up.
That's a surprise.
Yeah, and I had to wait a while.
Harsh but fair.
Yeah, I had to wait a while for my debut because I came in at 16. I left school, come at YTS, and the youth team was excellent for me, and I got close. But because the team was in the Premier League at the time, the squad got bigger and bigger and bigger, and I travelled a bit with the first team. But it was only until we got relegated and George came in and he started, no, I'm going to play the younger players. So he came in, played Wolves at home. We lost 2-1, but I remember it like yesterday, and it was, I probably played over 100 reserve games beforehand, but the step up was massive.
I remember you telling me that John Motson he did some sort of practice commentary.
Yeah,
didn't
he did. Yeah, he because we be given the tapes after the game. It wasn't DVD, it was like VHS, and I've probably still got it somewhere. And he asked the club if he could, I don't know what happened, he'd been out of commentary for a while. And because he was local, he asked, I presume, David Sheepshanks, can I come and practice on the game? So went home and watched the game, and John Motson was actually commentating on the game. So that was, and then I got a little run in the team, which was really, really good. We were talking about it before. We had the Anglo-Italian Cup.
Yeah, a little story about the Anglo-Italian Cup. Can any of you remember Charles Collins, who was our BBC Radio Suffolk commentator back in the day, the Aussie fella? And he has been in touch, James, actually, knowing that you were coming on the show. And he's talking about the Anglo-Italian Cup. He says, I always thought he was called Jamie. So I called him that in the commentary, got a message down the line from the studio that your mum had phoned BBC Radio Suffolk and demanded that Charles call you James.
And I've never forgiven her to this day. And I love my mum to bits, but I could have killed her that night. And if I was in Suffolk, I might have done. So highly embarrassing. But I remember it well, and I was just a young lad, and I walked up the bus, and he travelled with the team at the time. He said, "Oh, your mum rang me up at half time." I said, "What?" Yeah, and I just thought, oh my God. But that was someone started to call me Jamie. It was never Jamie, it was always James. So it stuck, but slowly, so as I played more games, it started to change, thank God.
You weren't called Jim at all, no?
Never.
Never Jim?
No.
Jamie's not your brother, is it?
No.
So you say about playing
name at all?
It's always Scoey.
Scoey, yeah.
That was always from, very, very early on.
And you say you played 100 reserve games or whatever. You were, as an apprentice and whatever, you were responsible for dressing rooms and stuff. And
yeah,
I remember you telling me that you met a very famous figure from football in the dressing room one day.
Well, we met many because I was lucky because I left school at 16 and it was 92 and the club just been promoted to the Premier League. It was the first season of the Premier League, so it's a great time to be around the club. And we all typical apprentice days, which I'm sure you two remember well as well, and we had to do all the changing rooms. But on the match day, I had to do the away changing room. That was my job. It was me in charge, and at the time I was a kid from a village in Suffolk, and you had every week all the top players in the Premier League. But the last game of the season, it was the last game of the season, Nottingham Forest and Brian Clough's last ever game. So I used to have a routine, and my routine was 5 to 3, everyone would go out, and I'd try and go in the changing rooms, tidy up with my broom and everything, try and get it ready, and so at half time there's no complaints, because if complaints got back to the Ipswich staff, and our change room went very, you were in the next day, and they said it was proper old school. So as I came round the door, I thought it was empty. I didn't think anyone was in, and Brian Clough had sat behind it. It was his last game, and he'd been drinking. He'd had a few drinks, and and then I noticed it, and it was very rude to go in. You had to wait until it was empty. If you went in, it was, what are you doing? Get out. But he started to talk to me. He started to ask me, questions, position, what you do, where do you play, blah blah blah. And he got up. He gave me the biggest hug I've ever seen. He actually kissed me on the cheek, and he walked out to do his last ever game. And there's, I don't know if you know Daniel Taylor from the FA. He's a massive Nottingham Forest fan. They did, I think, was it 30 years since his last? So he asked me the story, and I told him the story, and it was his last ever game at Portman Road.
And you met Brian Robson, I think, didn't you?
Yeah, you met them all, Phil. You were just, back then it was the start of the Premier League, and it came out. So, you'd meet all your heroes really. And I can remember the following season. Played Man United on a Sunday, and same again. I went down, make sure everything was okay, and Brian Robson was in the chain. He was one of my boyhood heroes, Brian Robson, and
he didn't have a drink either, did he?
No, probably not. No, probably not. It was a day off for him.
What did you boys have to do then when you were in that sort of position at the club? What were your responsibilities? Boot cleaning, sweeping up? What did you have to do?
Well, you didn't go in before the game. After the game, you used to have to make sure everything was spick and span. It was just during the week. I remember I think we had about 4 players, first-team players, to look after each. So you had to make sure that they got the kit out in the morning for them. Now, in those days, you had one set of training kit. And after training, that would be hung up, sweaty and wet and dirty. That would be hung up on a hanger. And you take it into the drying room, and then the following day you get that same set of kit out and give it back to Kevin Beattie or Trevor Wymark, whoever you were looking after, and that's the training kit for the next day. And that's how it was until it stunk so much that you actually had to get it cleaned. But it wasn't like fresh, brand new kit every day that the players get now. I mean, they get sport for choice now, but It was a bit of a smelly old job in those days.
Yeah, we had to. I mean, there were certain jobs you got allocated different times, so you weren't on the same job virtually every year, every time. But sometimes if you were lucky, you got the kit. You helped Wheels, Trevor Curtin with it to pack the skips and hampers and all that sort of thing. That was a cushy job. That was lovely. That
The hampers.
the hampers, or the kit. Were they big metal skips? Or sometimes wicker work. Remember the wicker work ones?
Was he in charge? Was he Trevor Curtin? back
Trevor
then?
Curtin
Wheels,
was,
yeah.
Yeah, he was in charge of us.
with the fingers. Yeah,
He
he
was-
lost
he
two of
was-
those fingers. Yeah.
We played
How long
Sheff-
left, Trevor? Is that 4 minutes, 3.5 minutes? How long? 4 minutes.
We the first team played Sheffield Wednesday away.
Was it harsh but true? Yeah.
They played Sheffield Wednesday away in '92. Was it when they had a cup run in the League
Yeah,
Cup?
was it last 16 or something.
Yeah,
Quarter
they
finals,
had a
wasn't
really good run, and one of my jobs on a away day, I had to pack the bus, so all the training kit, all the boots, everything. It's quite a big responsibility. I forgot to pack the balls, so the next day, so on the day of the game, they go and find a pitch locally, and there's no footballs. So Trev sort of worked this out 45 minutes. We had to go to a sports shop and buy a load of footballs, but unfortunately they weren't the mitre. So it was like beach balls almost. So they were practicing set plays, and the first thing they told me that balls are flying everywhere, and I thought I've got a problem here. And on the Thursday I came in, I can't repeat the night. He came down the corridor for me. Like
I
you
bet
wouldn't
somebody
believe.
had your balls then.
He just it was. Mate, those were the days, literally, weren't they? They made you what they were.
Fridays before home game especially, the changing rooms, the corridors, everywhere down there, the referee's room had to be spotless, and you weren't allowed to go back to your digs or leave the football club until, in our day, it was Sir Lee first. Sir Lee and then Fergie. They would go around at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Under the benches, they wipe their finger across the hot water pipes and off the skirting boards and the top of the doors to check that everywhere had been done. You had to clean all the floors. You had to
It's like Four in a Bed, isn't it? The old TV show.
Those
on
changing
Channel
were the
4.
cleanest places in Ipswich.
Yeah.
You had to. They were gleaming.
buffing machines. You had to
Buffing-
do the corridors and
And we had
everything.
the
and
suction machine afterwards as well, and
Yeah.
yeah. Great.
everything. All the bathrooms, all the toilets, the whole
I
lot.
wouldn't say they were great memories, but they were
I was
memories.
going to say,
Can't
you're free
say-
to help out anybody. I mean, it's going to be a little company business for you here. Look at
No,
that,
no.
So this is a bit of
Butcher and Osman
therapy here, I
cleaners.
think. This is talking out these worst.
But they weren't. I mean,
Leave it
it
to the Shelleys.
It taught you because their philosophy was if you cheat and don't do this job properly, you ain't going to do your job properly on the pitch as well. So that as on the pitch, you had to have the same mentality when you did the jobs, and it's the same with you. And
Yeah.
even later days from us, still that same philosophy.
We had to
Yeah.
do boots as well. You'd have those 3 or 4 professionals that you were looking after. You're looking after the match boots as well, and the training boots. So they train, they come back in, they just chuck the boots on the floor. You had to pair them up, clean them, tidy them, dry them. And back in the early days, some of the lads used to rub dubbing into the boots. Unbelievable.
Soft soap,
Soft
soap,
soap.
put it in.
Leather studs
Yeah,
with 3 nails in the bottom of them.
yeah.
You used to have to change them for some of the players, before match day if it was really wet.
I used to like the leather ones when they got worn because then you just had 3 nails and it was great. It was great. See who you could mark
Cycle.
first.
Let's bring it up.
Yeah, let's
to-
go back to.
You mentioned George Burley, didn't you, earlier on?
Yeah.
And what sort of manager was George for you?
George was the hardest working manager I played under. He had an immense pride in Ipswich. It was his club, and these two guys know him very, very well. He was very passionate. He was the first person in, the last person to leave. He was probably my most loyalist manager I played under. He was very, very loyal to me. He stuck by me through thick and thin, and he probably pushed me harder than any manager did. That's probably how I can. And he was very, very focused, very dedicated in that era, and he was probably the biggest part of the success we had was down to George.
And it was gradually season after season,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Trying to get up and eventually through the playoffs. I mean, what
Yeah.
was it like being so close but so far on those occasions you didn't quite make it? Was there still belief that you would the next season?
Yeah, I think we probably got to the end of the road where we had to go up. If not, maybe George would have moved on, players would have moved on, etc. I think the first year it was just good to get in the playoffs. It was an achievement because the club had came down, and I think finished just outside the playoffs in the first.
Yeah, 7th for me.
Yeah,
we
played
day.
Millwall at home.
In fact, your header against Millwall, if it hit a divot, which we'll come to in a moment, but hit at the other end of the field and hit the post, didn't it?
And Leicester got in and Leicester got up. So we finished 7th. And then the following year, and we had to sell the best player. The club had to sell, and the younger players had to play. I was 20, Richard Naylor was 19, Richard Wright. We were young with some really good experienced heads in the team. And I think we finished 4th the following year. We had a really good run after Christmas, and we got in the playoffs and we did really well. And we played Sheffield United, which was good. The atmosphere was it was a Wembley final at stake, promotion. The atmosphere was fantastic. Nothing I'd experienced before. And we got beat on away goals.
Yeah, it was very tight, wasn't it?
Yeah, we probably should have beat them actually, but they just got over the line in front of us, and that was harsh. But I think the team was just starting; it was developing. I think we were quite happy with what we did. And then the following year, again, we had to sell players. And then, to be fair to George and the club, they recruited very, very well back then. And Matt Hollands came in and started.
David Johnson, of course.
David Johnson came in,
and he had that sort of period where there was you, David Johnson, and Alex Matthew, kind of sort of rotating between the sort of different partnerships, weren't they?
Yeah, definitely. I think we started slowly the next season, but did very, very well after Christmas. Got in again. And I think we really fancied our chances the second time. Got beat by Charlton, which was very disappointing. And then the third season, I think we played Bolton twice, didn't we?
Yeah.
And then it started to get a little bit of the nearly team, and played good football, but didn't quite have enough. And then I think the third season, we actually then got into the last game of the season where we could have gone up automatic. So to sort of be on a high and be in the playoffs and be glad, then all of a sudden we were disappointed to be in the playoffs.
Did George? I had to check through your career, and George actually played you as an advanced midfield player. Was that correct?
Yeah, he played me.
What the hell is an advanced midfield player?
Number 10 these days.
Number 10. So
but that's behind two strikers, is it, or behind one?
No, behind two. So probably where Chaplin and Broadhead play now. I played the season when we went up. I played in that kind of role. We were very attacking, and George liked. It's very similar to your era, really. He liked the sort of the target man. He liked to play football, but he'd like to go long at times, and he sort of found a way to get us all on the pitch. Really, is what we did, and it worked. It did work.
Yeah, it was some great days. Some hat-trick at Crewe. That must be a special memory.
Hat-trick at Crewe, yeah. Got the ball at home. Yellow ball. First time. First weekend I'd ever used a yellow ball. Like, is it November the first weekend? They did a thing, didn't they, where they changed? I think they still do it to this day. So
this weekend, didn't they?
Yeah.
I think if I'd have scored a hat trick and got the yellow ball, I'd have given it back. I wouldn't have yellow in my house.
You'd prefer the blue one.
You cannot have yellow in your house. Is it right at the bottom of the cupboard or something like that?
No, it's at the top of the cupboard. So.
And we mentioned a divot, of course, didn't we? It was your pressing that caused the Brian Gunn goal, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Take us through that, because we love hearing about that, don't we?
Different angles.
Yeah.
That will get dug up this year when we play each other. That was my first season, and at the back end, I got a run. I think from sort of March time, I played every game, so that was really good. And then towards April, we played Norwich at home on a Sunday, typical 12 o'clock kickoff. There was nothing between the two teams, 1-1, and it was literally the last minute, wasn't it? And the pitch was terrible back then. They had a little spell where the pitch was awful, and there was Robert Olathorn.
Olathorn, yeah.
Yeah, he played the ball back, and I've just naturally being the striker, and George wanted these forwards to work hard. You go and close him down, and the ball hit the biggest divot you've ever seen. To be fair to Brian Gunn, it's gone like 2 foot in the air, straight over him, and. I think I should have.
What a shame!
It was
a shame. I feel for it.
And it was the last. I mean, everyone knew that was it. That was the game. And the only regret I had is if I'd have been a bit more responsive, I could have and it wouldn't have been Brian Gunn's own goal.
You should have got a tap in.
Yeah, it'd have been my goal. But no, I can remember it clear as day. Incredible.
I think we all can.
Yeah.
He had that horrible goalie's jersey on as well, didn't he? That multicoloured one which sticks out.
Any Norwich shirt is a horrible shirt.
But the season that we finally went up, we've mentioned all the years we missed out in the playoffs, and I think it has. You said it became a kind of sort of bit of an albatross, didn't it? And the playoff semi-final second leg against Bolton, I think most fans see that as probably the best game that they ever watched. How was it for you playing in it?
Well, it was just a massive roller coaster, because if you go back to the first leg, we were 2-0 down after 20 minutes, and you think, well, that's gone. 2-0 down, and you're playing against even over 2 legs. It's a big ask to come back. And we just signed Marcus Stewart. That was back then where, was it March was the deadline day? You could go sort of quite up until March and sign. So we signed probably one of the best forwards in the league. And I think that was the last real push from the club. And then Marcus had a fantastic playoffs. So we drew 2-2. So you come back to Portland, but we'd failed 3 times, and we'd always, apart from the Charlton game, always had the second leg at Portman Road. And it was just dinged. It was end to end. Was it 5-4 it finished up?
7-5 on aggregate, 5-3 on the night, wasn't it?
Was it? And it was, it just had everything, absolutely everything. And it could have gone either way, but luckily for us, went into extra time and we just got it over the line.
Was that when you did your hamstring?
That was, so played most games that season. And I just remember it was the second period of extra time. I just went up for a head. I'd never injured my hamstring, and I just felt straight away, just bang. I don't know if you saw the Tottenham game on Monday night with the centre half chasing back. He pulled it. It was horrible, and I knew straight away I've done something serious here. And we were winning. We were 5-3 up, and you thought we're going to win this. So I couldn't walk. I got stretchered off the pitch, straight into the physio room, which back then was the first door you come in on the tunnel. And I knew I wouldn't be playing at Wembley. I knew that was, I think Wembley was 10 days away, and that was and I just buried my head I was the last person to leave the club that night, and that was a big blow, a really big blow.
Yeah, tough to get over. I thought George handled it though very well, didn't he? In terms of
he come and he stayed with me, George, and we had a long chat, and he just said, don't give up, don't. But I just knew I had no chance of playing in the final. We trained the day before at Chelsea. We went down and stayed at Windsor, trained at Chelsea, and I went for a jog, and I could literally just about jog, and I said, no, I got no
Heartbreaking
chance.
For you, but of course the day itself was just a magical day for the club, wasn't it? For us supporters to go up through Wembley is a fantastic experience.
And George had you on the pitch.
He did. We were all part of it, and he made me walk out with the team, which I felt a little bit embarrassed because I wasn't going to play. But no, so I walked out, and I think that day was, it was a fantastic day, and I think it was. We always did well against Barnsley, so it was a good opposition for us. But it was part of a journey. It was part of that kind of 5 or 6 years where, just relief to get it over the line and get in the Premier League. And we were prime for the Premier League. We'd all sort of played 150, 200 games. So we had a bit of experience. We had, so we hit it at the right time.
And Player of the Year that year.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was my best season at the club. Yeah.
And then, that was a terrific season, wasn't it? But then the following season in the Premier League, no one expected anything at town at all. UEFA Cup, 5th in the table. How did you find that season?
Well, it was momentum. It's very, very similar to what's happening today at the team. Very, very identical. We just were full of confidence. We played Tottenham away, first game of the season. We got beat 3-1. Easily got beat 3-1 as well. Against an okay Tottenham team, it weren't great. But then we played Manchester United at home on a Tuesday night, and we were excellent. And we just never looked back from that game. We were very, very... It was 1-1. Manchester United were in their prime at the time. They just won the treble, and we matched them everywhere. And I think we played Sunderland afterwards and won.
Tightest score, yeah.
Yeah, and we just went on, and we beat everybody. We went to Liverpool and won. We went to Ellen Road and won. We went away from home. Just every other week. Just belief. And look, teams are better than us. They're better players, more experience, more internationals. But we just there was no pressure, and we just went. And actually, we finished 5th, but we went into the last 2 games where we played Liverpool at home and drew. And if we'd have beat them, it's a good chance. We could have finished 3rd. We could have got into the Champions League, but to finish 5th was exceptional.
It was. You gave us a European tour, which is the actual flag from that era behind Phil's head up there, which was fantastic the next season. Yeah. But what went wrong? What went wrong the next season, do you think?
I left.
That says it all.
He just teed him up perfectly there.
Next question.
No.
So you said to me you had a difficult time latterly.
Yeah, I did. We talked about it yesterday, didn't we? Talking about I'd always had opportunities to leave. There was always a club interest in me, but I never really wanted to leave. But I suffered not mentally at all, but the last 2 years of my time, I had bad anxiety, and I had to take sleeping tablets for it. And I sort of got this sleeping tablet, which several players got. There was another player at the club, I won't name names, and I got this addiction to sleeping tablets, which I couldn't, and you had to take them. I had to take them the night before the game, and it really impacted my performance a lot. And it was tough, and I couldn't, probably knock my performance by 40%. You'd take tablets every day, and on a night day you get anxious, so you'd have to. So there was, I tried everything to try and get off it, but in the end, the sort of probably why I moved almost. It was probably why you sort of needed to sort of move on to a fresh sort of start. Difficult to leave, really, really difficult. George was very good. He said, I don't want to sell you, but, there is interest, and if it's something you want to do, he said, that's fine. It was really, really good. And I just thought, well, it's probably my time. I've had a great time. I would have loved to have played in Europe. It would have been brilliant. But I don't regret moving. I didn't really want to start a club for, I did want to experience and see what other clubs were like. And I went to Leicester, which was an excellent club. But I think being a Suffolk lad, it was different. It was different playing for your home team. Everybody knew you. Everybody, was there. Everyone was talking about the game. Everyone was going to the game. I went to Leicester. I didn't know one Leicester fan. And all of a sudden, it was just a different environment, a different, and it was my career. It's a professional. It's my career, which I wanted to sort of push and get the most out of it. And probably myself left, Richard Wright left that summer, and the club were on a different trajectory then. They were then buying players. They were spending a lot of money. I think maybe they thought they would be invincible and it was going to last forever, and it doesn't. And sad, it's the last time in the Premier League. It's a long, long time ago.
So you felt the pressure at town?
Yeah, it probably got to me, if I'm honest with you. It probably affected me, and I knew maybe one of the answers was a different environment. It was a very high-pressured environment caused by elite players with elite mindsets, a manager that was relentless. It just every day in training. I never trained as hard, never been pushed as hard. So maybe that was a personal decision to think, right, maybe I need to try something else here.
Did the club help you with that situation? The
club were good. The club there was only a couple of people really new. The doctor was very good, but it was a time where you look back and I don't have any regrets, but it changed. I went to Leicester, and Leicester they really looked after me. They're an established Premier League club at the time because they got up in 95, so the sports science was excellent. And I had 4 good years there, and we went into the new stadium. But Ipswich is my club. It was, I think if you're from Suffolk, Ipswich Town means a lot to Suffolk, doesn't it? It's a big, and Suffolk needs Ipswich Town. It needs what's happening now to the club. So Suffolk's my home. So it's always an infinity. It's always probably the first club you look for.
Well, look, thank you for being so open and honest about that tonight. Don't you think?
It's something that is firmly in the past now.
Yeah, no, fair. I've not. I sort of learnt to manage with it, and then I got a lot of help when I was at Leicester. And it sort of just went away. It went, but at that time I had a 3-year spell where it was tough. It was, and I've heard people. I think there was a big article about someone else recently talked about it.
I sent you the article, didn't I?
It all kicked off on a pre-season tour, and I don't know what happened. I just had problems sleeping, and the doctor said we should try a sleeping tablet. It's the worst thing he did to me. It's the worst thing.
Well, you're over it now.
Yeah.
And you're feeling fit and healthy tonight.
At the moment.
You know what's coming, don't you?
Go on.
Okay. It is time for our Keep It Up challenge, sponsored by Ginger Pickle. And it is time to get out our match ball for you, James. Okay, here we go. This is a proper Umbro ball. It's pumped up to the right level. There we go. Get a little feel of that. Okay, so it's a bit like the old Top Gear challenge. There's our leaderboard up there. Chambo's still at the top. Alan Lee in second place. No, in our performance area over there. Someone suggested I ought to call it Let's Be Avenue over there, but I don't think we will. So you have got 60 seconds, James. Okay, but once you start, that's it. And Butch will time you. Phil's got the whistle, but once you start, That's it. Okay, you only get one crack at it. So, Phil Ham on 6, Butch on 3, I'm on 10. Sorry to keep mentioning that, Terry, but...
Yeah, you're down twice.
I am down twice because it won't rub off. Somebody's put it on the wrong pen. Okay. Anyway, thanks for pointing that out. Are you ready, James? Okay, ready?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48,
Here we go.
49, 50,
Here we go.
51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61,
Yeah.
62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78.
Fantastic.
Scoey for England.
Fantastic.
Did you ever score with your left foot? Because you never used the bloody thing there. You never used it. You stood on it. That was it.
How much you get?
Oh,
Top of the leaderboard.
Can't wait for that now.
Fantastic. We'll let you have a bit of a rest now after all of
thank
that.
you.
Well done. Well done.
Deli
The
Alley,
pressure's
by the
on.
way, was that article, wasn't it, recently?
Yes, it was, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Good stuff. Right. If you want to come along to our big event on the 30th of November at Venue 16, we would love to see you. Who's got tickets? Oh, clearly some haven't yet, so better do the big sell. So on the 30th of November, we are in the big Venue 16 Willow Suite for a special Christmas edition of Life's Pitch TV, raising money for the Ex-Players Association and Cancer Campaign in Suffolk, which are our two chosen charities this season. So for the first hour, we'll start about 7 o'clock. It will be our show on the big stage at Venue 16, and Steve McCall is our special guest that evening. So we'll be doing the show. That'll be out on YouTube. Then it's a 2-course Christmas dinner, which is not going to be on YouTube, and nor is the second half, because we're going to do a very special Question of Sport, Ipswich Town Question of Sport, for all the invited audience that are along there that evening. Butcher's Bandages is McCall and Burley on your team, is that right?
Butcher's Bandages?
Yeah, that's what I called you.
How long did that take you to think that one up?
About 2 seconds.
Okay.
Against Escape from Osman. And
We
you've
can win
got
this.
Ian Westlake and Luke Chambers on your team.
Yes.
So
Looking
the
forward
battle
to it.
will commence.
You should, with jokes like that, you should hold it at the corn exchange.
Oh dear, thank you.
Very corny.
Very corny, Butch, yes. Anyway, if you'd like tickets, go to our website, lifesapitch.tv, book your tickets there. It's going to be a fantastic night, raising money for two good causes. And also, while you're there, you can get our mugs as well. There's plenty of merch on the website as well. There's our Life's Pitch mugs, and you get T-shirts and everything as well, as modelled by Ed Sheeran behind us and Ted Lasso over there. So lifesapitch.tv, we'd love to see you there. Time for Town News in Brief, sponsored by John Keeble Cars of Bramford, with Phil Ham from twtd.co.uk. Put your hat on. Come on, put your hat on.
Remembered the hat this week.
Yeah, evening Paddington.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm going to have to lose this hat. Someone's going to have to buy me
No,
another
we like it,
hat.
don't we?
Thanks to the American.
It stops the
American
light shining on the
supporters.
top of your head.
Yes, that's true.
Hey.
Anyway, Life's Pitch TV news in brief. Manager and Player of the Month nominations today. Kieran McKenna for the manager, Václav Hladký for Player of the Month, following the...
What was that? Who?
Václav Hladký.
Oh, very good.
Is that right?
Do you want to spit or something?
Are you the Czech language expert on the show? Anyway, yes, September... McKenna carried off the September Manager of the Month award, didn't he? And then we had 100% October. He's up against his friend Michael Carrick from Middlesbrough, Enzo Maresca from Leicester, and Russell Martin from Southampton. I wonder whether Leicester manager might...
Oh, he's worse than that.
wonder whether Leicester man. I think they also had a 100% record and they played more games. So I wonder whether he might get that. And Hladky was that all right?
That's right. Yeah, well done.
Faces competition from Kiernan Dewsbury Hall from Leicester, Perry Ing from Cardiff, and Crescencio Somerville from Leeds. So not sure where that will go. I think Somerville scored 2 goals against Norwich. So. I think we'll be quite happy if he gets it for that. Penalties has been a big topic of discussion, hasn't it? I think Ipswich not had a penalty this season and not actually had a penalty awarded against us. So we're the only team in the Championship who've not had a penalty in either end in their games. 2 more really good shouts on Tuesday. I thought the George Hurst one was ridiculous, and then Axel Twanzabi's header was clearly handled. So how we didn't get at least one in that game. The last penalty we actually had was Nathan Broadhead scored one against Exeter in the game that confirmed promotion last season. Liam Manning, formerly one of our own, is now the manager of Bristol City, former academy coach and midfielder from town. Interesting appointment. I think it's a good job for him. He's stepped up, hasn't he, to a level from Oxford where he'd taken them to second in League One, having only taken over in March and brought in Greg Lee and Carl Edwards on loan. A move upwards, but not sure whether Bristol City's entirely happy. You're obviously the Bristol City expert, Russell, having been player manager there.
I am.
Yeah. So what's your thoughts?
I think he's a very good coach. I think it's a very good job for Liam. Whether he will get the same sort of backing and support that Keir McKenna's had at Ipswich, I doubt. The chairman has the money. It's whether he's able to spend it, because of the financial fair play situation down there. But Liam is a very bright coach, and Chris Hogg is a very good right-hand man for them. If they do get the support from the club and the support from the supporters, and I think there's a problem there with the supporters, is that they feel they've been a little bit shortchanged recently with the club selling the best players, not cheaply, but selling them on rather than keeping and developing a squad there that can fight for promotion. I think they just feel a little bit hard done by, and we're probably expecting a bigger name this time round. But if they get behind Liam and the club gets behind Liam, then he will do a good job for them.
And finally, our good friend Kevin Beattie, Rob Finch, who wrote The Greatest Footballer England Never Had, the Kevin Beattie story, emailed me this afternoon to say he's printed a few copies of the book ahead of Christmas. So they cost £12.99, including postage, from 12 Sandwith Court, Beverley, East Yorkshire, HU 179DL, or you can email Rob via robfinch180@gmail.com. So yes, I think an ideal present for any town fan.
Yeah, great story to read. It really is. Thanks, Phil. Let's have a look at what happened to Ipswich Town on this day in history. Brought to you in association with Fred Olsen Logistics.
Right, on this day, the 9th of November, 1968. That's where we're going to start. Future Town boss Joe Royal headed home twice as title-chasing Everton drew 2-2 in Suffolk in a pulsating Division 1 encounter. That's Premier League in old money. Although Town were unlucky not to break the Toffees' 15-game unbeaten record. And you made your debut against the Toffees, didn't you?
Yes, you gave away the penalty that we lost by, but never mind.
On Wednesday, the 9th of November 1983... Mark Brennan made his debut as a brace from John Walk helped the Blues beat Queen's Park Rangers 3-2 in the League Cup third round. Did I do anything wrong in that game?
Yeah, I think you were sent off, weren't you?
Quite
game?
possibly.
Yeah.
No, that was
85.
another one.
That was 85, yeah.
Mike got sent off in that game. Phil? And that's all that happened on this day back, like I say, 1983 and 1968.
Fantastic, Russ. Thanks very much. Now, look, this match at the weekend is a very special match because it's Remembrance Weekend, and Nigel's here from Combat to Coffee. Let Nigel come right the way through to our microphone here because he's going to tell us a bit about what's going on. Good to see you, Nigel. Thanks so much for joining us.
Right.
A big weekend for the club, isn't it?
Yeah, massive, and here and on and off the field, they've been a massive supporter of what we're trying to do with our mental health message, not just about veterans, but the general community, really. And this is the second year of medals to matches. This year we're taking 100 people who are related to the armed forces, mostly veterans, but other people as well who understand what we're trying to achieve in regards to veterans and families getting help and support.
And Remembrance is a big weekend, and it's well supported by Ipswich Town. I was down today actually on the pitch with the Army Air Corps rehearsing for the game on Saturday. So it's going to be a very emotional day for a lot of people. Yeah, there will be. And I know of people who are coming with us that do struggle, and they're coming on their own for the first time and doing something since leaving the military, and that's a massive step for some people. So we want to be there to support, and if we can do something like this, not only at this club but other clubs as we go forward, it's about bringing people together. It's a safe space, and even we've reached out to Swansea this year to see if a couple of the Swansea fans want to join us. If that does, that'd be great, because that's what football does, it brings you together. Certainly does. And briefly about Combat to Coffee, if people haven't heard about you. So I set up Combat to Coffee. I'm an ex-Royal Anglian Regiment soldier, had a breakdown in my mental health, and I realised drink makes conversation. Coffee is the main one, but we do tea, hot chocolate, everything else as well. But Combat to Hot Chocolate doesn't sound right, does it? So that's why we called it Combat to Coffee. But generally, we're a not-for-profit organisation which allows people to get help and support, not just from the military community, but also we're partnered with Suffolk Mind, which is massive in Suffolk, as we know, and we're there to help people, and it's just through conversation we'll get you some help. Fantastic. Well done for everything that you do. Cheers, Mark. Thanks. And I know the club are very supportive, aren't they? Really, very supportive. Thanks. And can I just say that we are meeting, and anyone who's not part of the ticket group, we're meeting in the Greyhound Public House in Ipswich around sort of 12 o'clock, and we're all heading to the fan zone for 1:30. So if you are military or you are connected and you're not with our group, you can still join us. That's what it's about. Get amongst us and have a chat, and if anyone is struggling, come and see us as well, and we'll always give you a cup of coffee. Brilliant. Nigel, great to see you. Thanks for all you do. Fantastic. Some news from our socials. This has come through, and fantastic email coming through here, which just goes to show how far Town are reaching these days. Firstly, can I say just how much we love the show? That guarantees you get something read out, doesn't it, actually, when you start the email with that? Great content and guests with lots of laughs and memories. Keep up the good work. Secondly, can I ask a favour? Barry Morgan-Smith, Andy Gidding and myself, this is from Maria Leslie, have just set up a new Ipswich Town supporters branch for supporters living in Spain. Could you possibly give us a shout out on the show to publicise it and put it on your social media pages as well? So ITFC España, the official ITFC supporters club in Spain. So we've got supporters clubs
can we go
all
out
around the world.
Can we go out there and do a show with them as well? Yeah.
I'll tell you what, the way the weather's turning here, that wouldn't be such a bad idea, would it?
There's a few potential El Presidentes out there, aren't there? Paul Cooper lives out that way, doesn't he? Trevor Putney, I think, lives out that way.
Tenerife or Portugal, Coop.
Yeah, well, there's if we can. I'm just looking at our money man over in the corner. We need to flog a few more T-shirts before we can get over to Spain. Anyway, look, I'm going to do the Man v Fat results in a moment or two, but it has been a very, very depressing time for Norwich, hasn't it?
Hey! Woohoo!
So depressing for Norwich City. Agent Wagner, I think, is being found out. That's the worry, isn't it, really? So we'd really like to keep him there for as long as is possible, really.
He's doing a great job. He's doing a great job.
Yeah, we love it, yeah. What do you think of that, James, the old Norwich situation at the moment?
It's heartbreaking, isn't it?
Yeah, it's dreadful.
Have you seen much of them?
I've seen them a couple of times, yeah. Yeah, and they're on the way down.
Yeah, that was enough, wasn't it, really?
Yeah.
That was enough. Anyway, one of our wonderful sponsors is celebrating his 65th birthday today, and he doesn't know we're going to do this, but we're going to ask him to come right up to our big blue microphone. Steve Flory, happy birthday from Hudson's, the Hudson Group, responsible for a lot of our signage here, one of our wonderful sponsors. Happy birthday
to you. Happy birthday, dear Stevie. Happy birthday to you. Very much.
That one bottle is not going to
well
go
done.
far, is it?
No, we mustn't like that in here. Thank you for all you do for the show, and happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Always a pleasure to do anything for this. It's fantastic.
Okay, enjoy.
Cheers, Steve.
Enjoy.
I see. There was only one candle on there, because if you'd put the number of candles for his birthdays, you'd have to have called the fire brigade first, wouldn't
Yeah,
you?
you would have done. Yeah, you would have done.
Okay.
Being abused on the show by Terry Butcher is a rite of passage, let me tell you. Absolutely right. Man v Fat, this week's Man v Fat results. Okay, these are the boys that are looking to lose weight and play football at the same time. LA Galaxy Bar 6, to lose a few pounds 8, Far From Athletic 5, Pork Vale 2, Seattle Quarter Pounders 5, Man Titty 6,
Yes, get in there.
L'Argentina 10, Dynamo Kiev 5, Hardly Athletic 8, FC 27. Oh, sorry, FC 20. FC 20 Stone 7. Those are the Man v Fat football results. Can we just say well done to Danny Netzel on losing 10% of his body weight, along with Martin Rudge and Paul Deeks, who both lost at 5%. So that was from Man v Fat. Mark. James, lovely to see you. Thanks for coming
pleasure.
along. Come and join us again. Top of the leaderboards.
Thank you.
Where are Palace sending you this weekend?
No, weekend off.
Oh,
Weekend
I
off.
thought you were going to say, you're off.
No.
somewhere.
No,
Milan
bragging
or
rights, though, on the leaderboard, though. There's some names up there you're very familiar with. So when you see them, you can just go, how did you do on the challenge?
Yeah.
It's good. How many did I get?
70, wasn't it? 78.
78.
Yeah, we'll go to VAR
Well, just
later.
think, if you use your left foot, you could have got 100, you know?
Maybe.
Give him a big round of applause, everybody. James Scowcroft.
Thank you.
So keep in touch. Check out our Live to Pitch socials, Facebook, Insta and X. On YouTube, please like and subscribe. It's absolutely free. It doesn't cost you anything, but it helps us with the channel. And don't forget to head over to livestopitch.tv to book up for the 30th of November, and also to get your T-shirts and your mugs. Great Christmas presents, everybody. Also, a big thank you to our main sponsor, DPS Tech. Also sponsored by All About Hearing, marketing company Ginger Pickle, Forward Floors, Come Hither Design, the Hudson Group, Sound 4 Pro Audio, Fred Olsen Logistics, John Keeble Cars in Bramford, and the Dove in St Helens Street in Ipswich. Thank you, Capacity Crowd. Thank you, Top Team. And we'll be back next week. Up the town. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Up the town.